Okay, guys, it's Lachie. Welcome back. Today we had Jamie Soward on the pod. It was a mad chat. He's a legend. Talked his footy career, talked what he's doing now. Let's get into it. Jamie Soward, welcome to the podcast, mate. Been looking forward to this one.
Yeah, mate, it's been going back and forth for a little while on the DMs. I'm settled now up the coast, so thanks for your time.
Yeah, what's happening with you? Move up to Port Mac recently. What's going on?
Nah, nothing. I recently, after last year when I got let go by the Dragons, I picked up a job in government on the water sector. So took on a traineeship there, and then uh, decided, my wife and I, we needed a bit of a sea change, and we've got family in Port Macquarie, so we moved up here and just put our stumps in the ground up here for a little while. The life change has been good for me. I think footy's such a selfish bubble at times. I've been that as a player, as a coach, the last 4 years. So I've really enjoyed the move, mate. It's mellowed me out a little bit, which is good, and getting to spend more time with my daughters and my wife.
Yeah, what's it like? Obviously, you've been in footy for so long. It's been your whole life for years, decades now. What's it like going up there and it's pretty removed from it?
Well, it was removed from it. So I went to the grand final, Old Bar versus Port Macquarie yesterday at Group 3. Um, I've had a number of clubs reach out to me in terms of doing potential coaching jobs next year. So we'll sit down and work through that. But yeah, it's actually been really good. Uh, I think I'm still doing my one-on-one coaching. So I'm getting that footy fix that I need. But it's the end of the season too, so the footy starts to die off on the sort of senior side of things. I'm going into Samoa for the Pac Champs and coaching the Fetu Samoa side. So there's still a little bit happening around the footy circles. But in saying that, I'm also uh, enjoying not being in the hustle and bustle of Sydney and that footy bubble that we spoke about.
Yeah, you still like is footy still? Are you still like footy mad? You still watch every game, all that?
Yeah. I think when you're in footy, and I love footy, so I do my podcast with Guru, and we still work out ways to talk about footy and do that. I think it's just more, I love being able to get out, spend time with my daughters and my wife, and do some of that stuff. When you're in as a player, you're sort of sacrificing, and you love doing it, but you're sacrificing weekends, parties, occasions, all that kind of stuff, and then sort of as a coach, you're trying to make it work instead of just enjoying that side of things. So I'm still footy mad. I'll talk footy to anyone. I mean, I wouldn't have jumped on the podcast if I didn't think we are going to talk some sort of footy. So I still love that side of it, but I also enjoy the more casual side of it of being out, uh, in the mid north coast.
Yeah, what do you think of the games on the weekend, mate? I went to the game yesterday, actually. Pretty
Yeah.
crazy
What was
game.
it like there?
It was intense for like the first 15, 20, and then when Penrith started pumping them, obviously it was full of Doggies fans, so it kind of died off a bit.
Mm. It seemed I was at the grand final yesterday, so but in watching the highlights and some of the action. It looked like Bulldogs grand final, but Penrith's like they knew what the occasion was. You know what I mean? So looked like they were going to be up for it a little bit, and then Penrith has a lot of class, and they know this time of year so well. Like it's ridiculous that they're going to play in six grand finals. You would think, depending on what happens next weekend, but yeah, it just seemed to me. I think like a taste of experience for the Bulldogs, but also like Penrith have just the experience shone through on the day. As for the other game, I thought that was probably a better spectacle. I mean, the game was in the balance for a while there. Cronulla defended really well. The Raiders, the emotion of losing last week. So, both games, both teams that lost um, had emotional first weeks, and that everyone says you want to be in the top four, but we've probably shown this year there's two teams outside the top four that are going to potentially be in the grand final.
Yeah, do you think Penrith can get it done, mate? Like yesterday, they just looked like worlds above, not even the Dogs, but to be honest, any other team in the finals.
I I haven't deep dived into the preview yet. We'll do that on Guru with Guru. But in terms of like what we saw yesterday, yes, like they can go up to Brisbane and win. Um, yeah, they won't hold any. They've won a grand final there in COVID, so it won't hold any daunting. You know, I guess yeah, going up there and playing in front of a Brisbane crowd, a hostile crowd, that won't daunt them. Yeah, I'm not sure, mate. Like it really like I tipped the Broncos to win it at the start of the year. I
Oh,
just
really?
thought this is their slot. Yeah, I tipped Broncos to win, Knights to win wooden spoon, which I haven't gotten right. The wooden spoon in like 10 years. So that was well, players would go, mate, you tipped us to win the wooden spoon. I go, mate, I haven't tipped it right in 10 years. So I was, but yeah, I don't know. Like the last four teams, I think all have all got their strengths and they've all got their weaknesses. But the one that seems most settled at the moment is Cronulla.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, they looked good against the Raiders. I didn't know how the Raiders were going to come out because obviously that week one game would it fucking rattle you, eh? Just
Yeah,
the
we did
emotion.
it. It was we finished first. We thought we were just gonna yeah beat the eighth place team, and then for whatever reason things go wrong, and then you get on a plane to Brisbane to play Darren Lockyer and that in front of that crowd, and it's like, oh yeah, we'll be right. We finished first. They finished fifth or sixth or whatever they finished, and then all of a sudden you're on a plane back home and lost. So I think the emotion is underrated or understated, I guess, a lot in that first week and what goes into that because you know what's on the other side is a week off, but you also know that you're gonna have to do it the hard way if you lose.
Yeah, I want to get into your story a bit. Um, can you hear me? Oh
Hello.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
all good. Yeah, I want to get into your story a bit. Just growing up, where'd you grow up?
Mate, I was born in Canberra. I grew up in Wagga. So people always say like where you played your juniors, but I was born in Canberra. I grew up in Wagga. Had a yeah sporting lifestyle there. Played basketball, Aussie rules, touch, and yeah, league obviously for the Wagga Kangaroos. So uh, it wasn't until made the Raiders in 2003 that I moved back to Canberra. But yeah, it was good, mate. Wagga's got so many sporting people, so and so many sports successions come out of that region. So it was nice to be in that region, and all we did was play sport, mate. We didn't. I mean, PlayStation when I was that age was coming through, like in sort of 2002, 2001 maybe.
Yeah,
But we just never we played it, but we all played it like on the weekends, like it wasn't really a weekday thing. So, um, mate, it was great. It taught me I've got friends. Yeah, when I was under 11s there playing touch with Wagga, I've still got they're my best mates. So it's been yeah, it's probably been the best move for us.
you say you played heaps of sports growing up. Was it always like I want to be a footy player, or did that
I,
kind of grow?
yeah, I wanted to be a basketball player as well, but I got 12 and I realised I was too short and probably not as good because Mum was a great basketball player uh, and Dad was a footy player. So yeah, I decided I wanted to play league, uh, but I was small. Like I look at a lot of kids today that are really small, and I train a lot of them, and they come up against bigger Polynesian players and kids that are early developed than they are. Find it really hard. And I sort of went through that. I'd play against guys that were twice my size, and yeah, was I going to make it or not? Like that kind of stuff comes into your mind and all that. So yeah, I always wanted to play league, chase the dream really, really hard. Through those sort of teenage years, and then off the back of that, I was lucky enough to get a trial with Canberra.
Did it ever rattle you growing up? Obviously, when you hit that like sort of like under 12s to under 14s, when
Mm.
some kids are like men, and if you're still a small bloke, did you ever think like fuck this?
Yeah, well, some guys. I mean, I played with a guy that's under 16. He had a moustache. Like I was, I don't know, I had two pubic hairs. I think I'm not sure, but it was it was just yeah, like guys that developed earlier, and yeah, you were trying to. I guess that's probably what taught me, like you know, to work on my other stuff. Like if I wasn't going to crash someone, uh, I could kick, I could pass, I was fast. So I sort of honed in on those skills a little bit. And that's what I say to kids. Like Wayne Bennett would say to me, like, just work at what you're good at. Like the other stuff will, will help, and you've got to put your body on the line and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's I think for 12 to 14 year olds, male and female, that maybe are underdeveloped or birthdays late in the year, they sometimes look around and go, oh, I don't know. But yeah, I just encourage you to work on what you're good at, like make that elite versus trying to cover off everything.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stories like that that the smaller players or things like that they come through and they develop their skills and it really pays off in the back end when they get to the like the NRL and even reserve grade and stuff.
Yeah, well, Sam Walker's doing that at the moment. He's Tane Tuilpiki, like Keanu Kinney, like they're smaller guys, but they're fast. They can do things like Sam Walker. No one's ever looking at him going, "Oh, he's too small." Like they're just looking at him now, going, "Look at the shit that he's doing." Like it's really cool to watch. So I think, yeah, like I said, my advice is, yeah, compete, put your body on the line, yeah, do all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like the one thing with juniors at the moment, the problem is that we all want them to be Nathan Cleary, and
Yeah.
there's just not. There's one Nathan Cleary. Like there's one Isaiah Qatar. That's how many people have played NRL and played footy. Like you're allowed to be good at other things and develop a little bit later and all that kind of stuff. And I think we put so much pressure on them to be what we see on TV instead of just honing in on their skills and working in on what they're good at.
Yeah. What point did you realize like, oh, I can seriously have a go at playing professional footy?
Oh man, I got given I gave a VHS for those of you who don't know, it's old tape. People won't realise the younger generation, but I sent a tape of my highlights, like a mixtape. But I put some deficiencies as well, and then I typed up a resume, like a job resume about what I was good at, what I wasn't good at. Sent it to the Raiders through a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy. Got invited to the trial, and then was in the Raiders system. But I never really thought about like um, like the NRL as such as like I had to be like I had to be in the NRL, but I never thought about it as like it wasn't unattainable. Like some people you talk to, yeah, they think it's a long way away, and I'm not saying it arrogantly. It's a hard process to get there, but if you want it bad enough, like you used to just go and train and kick a footy and put that 10,000 hours in, and I never really once I got to the Raiders, I never thought like I wasn't going to play NRL. I just thought like I just got to keep working really really hard and just break here or there. We got bundled out pretty quickly. Raiders, we had a great side. Terry Campese, Michael Wayne, like we had really good side of juniors there coming through. And then all of a sudden, like it was my first. The Raiders said, "Oh, we're going to keep Todd Carney and Michael Dobson," and I went to the Roosters, played Jersey Flegg, and then that was when I started to realise, like, I'm pretty close here. I just got to keep working. And then in 2005, made my debut. So it feels like it took forever, but it happened pretty quickly. Uh, and then once you get there, see, like Gus Gould would say, he has a talk to new players that come to his club, and he said the hardest part's not getting there, the hardest part's staying there. And when I went to Penrith and I heard that, I was like, that is so right. Like I played 24 games, I think, for the Roosters, in and out, different positions off the bench, all that kind of stuff. I really had no idea what I was doing. I was just playing. And then you get to the Dragons, and Wayne comes and explains some stuff, and then you're week to week, and then how you see the game, and then when you're coaching later on, like that just made so much sense.
Yeah.
So I look back at my journey and I think, okay, shit, like the journey. I thought the journey was to get there and play one game, but the actual hard part's to get there and stay there. And I say that to kids all the time. Everyone has good games, bad games, mistakes, right decisions, wrong decisions. But the more you can keep doing the right practices and getting in the right areas, is going to help you stay there because it's really, really hard.
Yeah. You make I know you just spoke about making a debut. What was the process with that and what was going through your head you're walking out in an NRL game?
Yeah, um, I've spoken about this heaps. Like it's probably it's overshadowed a lot. Like the week before I went to North Queensland, I was 18th man. I flew home the Sunday morning, played reserve grade. Sticky went into Origin camp, And he was just going to come back for the game. So I got told over the phone, like, you're going to be playing this week. Gus is going to coach you. I'll take the sessions during the week and see you on Sunday, sort of thing. So, or Saturday for captain's run. So, told my parents, everyone. I mean, I played in front of 7,500, I think it was. So it wasn't at the SFS. Knights had 15 or 16 out, so it was the right game to make your debut.
Yeah.
Uh, don't remember going to the game, and basically because of what happened afterwards. Like I went out, I remember going out afterwards, and then the next morning woke up and Dad had a heart attack and passed away. So
Oh, really?
a lot of those memories for me were just lost in that loss of what happened in the 24 hours with Dad, and um, processing that as a 20-year-old that had just lived the probably the best moment of my life up to that stage, playing NRL, and then we won, and you're out drinking with Brad Fittler and Luke Ricketson, Craig Wing, and Amos Roberts, and next morning, your reality hits. So uh, it was a weird time for me, man. But
Yeah.
in saying that, it helped shape me in other parts of my life, I reckon, that I'm reaping the benefits of now.
Yeah. How did, um, obviously your dad passing away just after the best moment of your life, did that sort of teach you any lessons or put like footy in perspective a bit?
Yeah, well, I guess the one part looking back, and you can only reflect, as you get older, but I probably just played the victim. Like, you know, didn't want to do footy, sort of just took myself out of that environment, forgotten everything that I'd worked hard for to get there. Uh, and it wasn't until my stepdad took me to a reserve grade game a couple of weeks after, and sort of just like, no disrespect to reserve grade, but it was like, you've worked so hard to get there. Do you want to play the rest of your career here, or because I wasn't even thinking about playing footy again. I was rattled. And then he just sort of put it in perspective and slowly got back on the training paddock, and I just didn't know how to, I didn't know how to react to what had just happened, how to process it. I think the lessons, like I would love to have gone and just talked to someone independently. I think that mental health is such a big thing now. 20 years ago, it wasn't. Uh, so that's what I probably would have done. But yeah, I think the lesson was, not to. It's okay to be upset, but it's not probably right to play the victim, and try and work out ways to keep it moving.
What was the return to footy like? Was it emotional or was it kind of like footy was an escape a bit?
No, well, my dad and I, we'd grown up, but we weren't close. So, once we'd moved to Wagga, like we'd been apart for sort of 10 years, seeing him really much. But yeah, the return footy was normal. Like I just ran out there and played for Newtown, I think, or the Roosters at that stage, and just tried to resume what was going through. And I ended up playing a few more games in first grade that year. I think I finished the year in first grade. So yeah, it's hard to sort of isolate what it was all like and how I was processing it. But in the end, like I said, I'd worked so hard to get there that I was probably uh, moving past it as best I could.
Yeah. Well, I actually didn't know that. That's crazy to hear that story. Moving from the Roosters to the Dragons, how did that come about?
So I got dropped to part-time training by Chris Anderson, and
Yeah.
then um, sort of sooked, played the victim, and once I played 3 months there, my stepdad said to me, "Play 3 months, give it a chance, go and work on whatever they need you to work on." I was shitty, I was salty because I thought it was my time to come into first grade in '07. I'd sort of fluffed around '05, '06, played two reserve grade grand finals, lost those, but if I was ever going to play first grade consistently, and the vacant number six spot was open. So played a couple of months, played one game for the Sharks against the Sharks, I beg your pardon, at Shark Park. But 2 weeks before that, my manager, Sam AU, had negotiated a release if I could get it to the Dragons, and sort of always joked about going to Dragons because my family, my dad, my stepdad loved the Dragons. Uh, then I went and had a coffee with Nathan Brown down at Cronulla. He said, "Would you come if we got you across?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And then yeah, it was at a mate's dad's funeral in Wagga after we played the Sharks, and I knew that I was going to the Dragons, but no one else knew. And then Chris Anderson rang me and blew up, and wasn't a pleasant phone call, but I, yeah, had already agreed. I'd had handshake. I've done handshake deals my whole career. Even to today, if I'm hosting something, I go on handshake. So if someone pulls out, that's bridges burnt. But yeah, ended up watching the Broncos beat the Knights. I think 68-4 or 70-4 or something, and then had to play against the Broncos Friday night at Cogra. So that was my first game, and ended up beating them 11-4. So it was good.
Yeah. You talk about you did handshake deals your whole career.
Mm.
Why is someone holding their word in that sense so important to you?
Trust is a huge thing for me. I think that when I left St George, I'd handshake deal with Gus, a chance to go to the Sharks. Flano had rung me and said, "Would you think about coming to the Sharks?" And I said, "Oh, mate, I've already shaken hands." Like for me, that was just the way I was brought up is you handshake and you shake hard, you look a man in the eyes, and you honour that deal. So whether it's right now hosting, grand final events, I always just love to take people, and I've been burnt before, and you know, you hear stories around and whatever else. But for me, it was just always a sign of respect that you do those handshake deals and you honour that. So I've done it.
Do you think almost, I feel like that relates to kind of how you were talking about before, saying like the NRL was never out of reach for you. Do you think that's kind of like a deal you made with yourself and you just wanted to stick to your word as well?
Yeah, I was just a competitor, mate. Like I'm never ever going to be classed as one of the great playmakers, 5'8". Like I had made a deal a long time ago just to compete and see where it ended up. And that's how I was. Like I'd play basketball out the front and against men in front yard, getting bashed into fences and stuff like that. But that just taught me to compete. So I'd always been small, so I had to find other ways to compete. And um, I'd like to think that maybe the back end of my career wasn't how I wanted to finish, but I had a run there where I'd competed, got a lot out of myself, and played state of origin and won comp and stuff like that. So yeah, I think you make a deal to sacrifice things and all that kind of stuff, but I just made a deal to compete with myself and make sure that I was trying to be the best that I could be in those periods.
Yeah, I feel like you could. Obviously I could see when you were playing back in the day, you wore your heart on your sleeve. You loved a celebration, which I
Mm.
feel like that's part of competing as well. Winning that grand final, how much did that mean to you?
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a like fuck you to everyone that had sort of written me off, and that's the individual side of it. But it was redemption for the last 2 years that we'd been minor premiers and said we choked. And for me, looking back and talking to Benny Hornby, like those guys were so close, 5 years, 4 years before. So getting that redemption for them, we were a really, really tight group. Were we all best mates? No, but we were just a tight group who respected each other and honoured, what each other brought to the side and on and off the field. So, yeah, for me individually though, like I'd been through a lot of shit. Like '09, I was rated the most overrated player in the comp,
Really?
which to me, those ratings, like it's just clickbait. Like that was in big league. I think I was rated something like that, and I was just like, man, I'd worked so hard. Like sometimes when I'm commentating, if I'm critical of someone, I sort of make sure afterwards, like, was I emotionally commentating that person in the moment, or was I calling how I see it? And I try and call it how I see it. Um, not like trying to. There's no agenda. Like I'm not tied to any club. I just do it how I do it. So winning that grand final, I felt like there was a lot of people out there that like just didn't like me. For me, like the emotion side of things, the screaming, man, that's nothing to what we see today. Like it is this that was tame to what we see on social media today. So uh, I couldn't really give a fuck to be honest.
How'd you deal with that scrutiny through your career? Do you just block out the noise completely, or do you have to process it a bit?
No social media was good. I think I would have struggled a little bit with social media if it was what it is today. But I just felt like in when you coach by Wayne, like you're just so focused on yourself, like you just don't hear it, and the stuff that I heard or that I read, I liked reading the paper and stuff like that. Like I just used it as a chip on my shoulder, like I still do. Like I'm playing touch, and if someone's like, yeah, he thinks he's mad, like I just use that, and that was something that I enjoyed that side of things. So um, again, like people are paid for their comments and all that kind of stuff, and they've got to have opinions, but. I just used it. It was fun to me. And tried to not let it get in the way of what I was doing.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's really good fuel, I guess. Like you're talking about you were named the most overrated player. I don't know if you watch much of the NBA, but like Tyrese Halliburton this year was named the most overrated player as well. And he was
Saw
one
that.
Achilles away from winning the NBA finals, I reckon.
The thing is that, um, like most overrated at what?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you can be, we look at the NRL right now. Like Mitchell Moses, if you're doing a true MVP, which is most valuable player, like Mitchell Moses could win that
Yeah.
because of what he means to that side. So when you say most overrated, Halliburton wasn't out there to score 40 points. He's out there to assist, run the offense, and be a good defender. So um, when he gets his buckets, he gets his buckets. He's going to have explosions like anyone. But yeah, I think just to say like most overrated is like in whose opinion?
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, the players, and you're like, well, that's bullshit. I've seen those player polls. No, I've been in dressing rooms where players tell people to lose it, like they don't want to do it. You know what I mean? Because everyone respects how hard it is. So I think, yeah, it's just that was sort of the early form of social media, and that I notice they don't do it now because now, like that can have a toll on a player, and we've seen Nico Hines go through that. I think he's come out the other side at the moment, the scrutiny around his price tag and all that kind of shit that they go on with. So
Yeah, man. I just love seeing Nico Hines go well, eh? Like how good the Sharks are going. He just seems like such a good guy and like he's playing fucking good footy, which is so good
mm,
to see. Um, the 2014 season, I feel like that was my favorite season of yours. My dad's a mad Penrith fan, so I was 10 years old in 2014, so that's when I was really getting into footy. Um, that semi final, mate, I used to have it recorded. They're going against the Roosters, and I would dead set watch it every arvo after school.
it was honestly like a whirlwind year because we had so many injuries, and the Roosters had won it the year before, and then we're going into that game, and we probably weren't given much hope. Like I look back at that crowd, like there was hardly any Panthers fans there. There was a few, but not as many.
Yeah,
And then the way the game shaped up, I think I put one out in the full in the first half, and I actually smiled because I was like, shit, that doesn't happen too often. Like, okay, but I was like 2014, I was sort of you know playing with that chip and that on my shoulder, like, oh, he's coming back. He's by himself now. He hasn't got Wayne protecting him. He hasn't got the system, like all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that was, individually for me was probably my best year in terms of stepping out of that dragon system. Um, and then in that game, yeah, like Moyes made a break. We scored a try. Saw scored, and then Jennings scored, and then I missed a shit tackle on Kenny Dow. And then when it got to 18-12, it was like not that we couldn't win, but we just needed a moment. And then I've told this story before, but yeah, early in the preseason, Dallin didn't chase a kick at training, and Dallin was a kid. He was 18. He's Mormon lifestyle, like not really conducive to like an angry headgear wearing halfback just swearing at him. And he pulled up on a chase and I absolutely pasted him. And the ball ended up going dead. I said, mate, just F and chase it, blah, blah, blah. And then in the semi-final, he makes that play, which was just ridiculous. It was the worst kick. I don't even like that whole play or sequence. Like Heidi's in at dummy half. We're
Yeah.
running. The only thing that probably played in our favour is that I think a set or a couple of sets before, Minnie had run around and sort of half slid into touch, and we pushed him into touch. So, we knew that he liked to run around and get the ball coming directly, not cutting it off. So I think he was waiting for it to go out, and then for Dallin to make that play and Dean to score, and that was, and I didn't even think about it, but like 18-16, that for me was the moment. Like people talk about the field goal and what happens there, but that was the moment. I had to kick that. It just changed the complexity of the game. Like, if I miss that, then we're chasing a try to win or whatever else. So um, it was a horrible kick, but it went through. And then the field goal setup was even worse. Like Moiser was going to take it, and then Chico found Moiser, and Moiser's playing the ball, blowing up at Chico, and then I got it and snapped it. And people to this day will say it was a shit field goal. So mate, it was a line drive. It only has to go above the post.
Yeah, it's like a bullet.
Yeah, I didn't hit it as good as the one I hit in 2010, but it was a pretty good one. And yeah, it was an amazing year and really good game.
Yeah. When you're in those moments, like obviously you have to kick the goal to tie it up and kick the field goal. Are you nervous or are you just so in the game that
Mm.
you're not even really thinking about
Y-
it?
Yeah, I think you don't have a lot of time. Like I think golf, you're sitting over a putt, you're walking up to the shot. Like for us, it sort of happens quickly. Like the ball happened, you practice that field goal all the time. So it just all happened really quickly. The goal kick, I wasn't trying to listen to the crowd or anything like that. I just focused and on my process and went through it, and it just sort of happened. So I think it happens pretty quickly.
Yeah. In terms of your kicking game, were you always a naturally good kicker or did you work really hard?
Uh, I think my experience now is left footers are just wired differently. Like I haven't seen a left footer that kicks the footy bad. So I worked extremely hard on it. Like goal kicking, I was horrendous as a kid, but I practiced and practiced and practiced. Going out, feeling the ball. I used to carry footy around and just sort of bounce the ball AFL style. And I don't know, I just had a big boot on me and yeah, just practice, man. Like it wasn't this secret formula, like I didn't just wake up one day and start kicking. Like I just always loved kicking the footy.
Yeah. I feel like you're saying left-handers can't kick a footy batter. It's the same in cricket. You look at a left-hand batter, like you look at Usman Khawaja and it's like they look so good.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly have not trained a kid that's left-footed that's a bad kicker. Like they just pick things up really, really quickly.
Yeah, it's unreal. You played State of Origin. What was it like going to that arena?
Uh, yeah. Again, daunting because you look across and you got so many greats. But I felt like we lost game one 16-12. We won game two 18-8, lose game three 34-24. So, um, yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have any expectations on it. I'd always wanted to play State of Origin. I got in that arena. I felt like, I'd done some good things. I probably did some bad things. I've never sat and watched all three games. I was just, we lost the series, so there's nothing to
Yeah,
relive there. But yeah, it was a great experience. I'm very proud that I played State of Origin. I don't talk about it a lot. There's a lot of players that have played and had so many big moments in those games. So I'm a huge fan of State of Origin, but yeah, those guys, they've certainly done a lot more than me in that arena. So, but I enjoy playing it.
yeah. You also represented the Indigenous All Stars. How much did that mean to you representing your culture?
Yeah, it was great. I think being a part of the first one in '08, we played the New Zealand Māori team again in the World Cup, like I guess an exhibition. Played with Presto, and then out of that formed the All Stars, and yeah, just seeing the passion, cultural spaces come alive, with excitement when you played that. We played against the World All Stars, we played against the Maldives. So yeah, it was really cool to be in that environment, share the pitch with JT, Scotty Prince, you know, just seeing what they're like away from the game. I learned a lot more. The game was great, but I learned a lot more about myself and culturally and how to handle myself while watching those other guys. Especially in that first run room with JT. Just going to train and watching how he prepared, all that kind of stuff was something that fueled me for 2010.
Yeah. What's it like? Because obviously you're versing these guys week in, week out, and they're the enemy through the season. What's it like going to the camp and having to connect and they become like your brothers for a couple weeks?
Yeah, I think the ego thing, like, yeah, you come into camp and it's just all pushed aside. You know you're there for the common goal. So the thing is, it's like a mutual understanding. You obviously got your big dogs in the team and you got your other guys. So when I walked in and I was rooming with JT, I was more shit scared that I was going to be messy. So my room was tidy all week. But yeah, there's not much to think about really.
Yeah. There's obviously a lot of kids trying to be NRL players, trying to be footy players. Why did Jamie Soward make it?
Yeah, good question. I think, like I said before, like I just had a competitiveness to me that I just wasn't going to be beaten. I just honed in on my skills, and it does take a little bit of luck. You can go to a couple of trials, and maybe they're not looking for that position, or you don't fit their system or whatever that kind of stuff. But I think too many kids these days, they want the lifestyle. The reason why I made it is because I love the game, and I speak about it on our podcast with Guru all the time. Like I fucking love the game. Like I talk to a lot of kids that, did you watch the footy last night? No. You're like, "Fuck, I watched 6 games this weekend. Like, I sit down and watch 6 games
Yeah.
and love talking footy. And I was at the grand final yesterday, Old Bar versus Port Macquarie, and yeah, I just had a little bit to do with the goal kicker for Old Bar, and he kicked 4 from 4, and he was really happy, and he's come over, and he's a young kid, and he was really excited, and he's like, oh mate, yeah, like I said, mate, you did all the work, and my wife just said, like, you fucking love the game, don't you? I said, yeah, like I just love seeing people succeed. Like I don't need the accolades or anything like that. Like I just love watching people work on their craft, and he worked really hard. Uh, so I think I made it because I love the game.
Yeah. I feel like obviously talking about players who love the game, all the best players, they're always watching so much footy. That I was watching the Matty John show last night and they had Izzy Katoa on
Mm.
and he was saying, yeah, I watch every single game of footy. And I guarantee when they asked Cleary the same question, he'd say the same thing.
Yeah, there's different, like, so many people love the lifestyle, the free gear, the social media, the attention, the money. Like, sure, it's great. And I didn't have a lot of that. But I just love the game, mate. The game's given me so much, and I think even coaching kids and helping kids, you're trying to give back.
Yeah. Obviously, you're in the media side and you're the coach of the Samoan women's team. How is it seeing footy from, I guess, the other side of the glass now?
Frustrating at times, but very rewarding. I think I would put it down like that. I'm looking forward to being in camp. I got some great staff around me. Cole Stanley, Frank Pritchard, and then some players there. Nevin Ulasala, as our captain, leaders. Like playing, you've got some control. Coaching, you've got control up until game day.
Yeah.
That's probably the easiest way to do it.
Yeah. How did that come about, this Samoan job?
Mate, they needed a coach. I don't know if I was last one standing or not, but they needed a coach. And Jeff Brown from New Zealand rang me and said, "Would you want to do it?" And Flano actually recommended me. He said I'd be good for the position. And I've learned a lot about myself and the Samoan culture the last 2 years. Looking forward to Pac Champs, and then the big test for us is the World Cup in 2026.
Yeah. No, that'll be unreal. Keen to see how the girls go. There's a lot of talk around obviously who's the best half ever, like Thurston, Cleary, Johns. Do you have an opinion, mate?
Nah, not really, mate.
No?
Nah, I think the LeBron Jordan stuff gets talked about a lot.
Yeah.
The errors matter. Um, systems, teams, help. Like, we've seen Joey dominate, we've seen JT dominate, we've seen Nathan dominate in different scenarios. That's why I was so big on he doesn't have to dominate Origin to already be in that conversation. So, no, I've never ever had like that person's the best of all time. If you had to pin me down, I think Cameron Smith, his longevity, his control over the game, the way that he saw the game, his kicking, his goal kicking, the amount of big moments he had in his career, I think he's in that conversation too.
Yeah. I feel like you watch all of them and they all do different things well. Like someone like JT is just all heart, you know what I mean?
Mm,
And then
yep,
like Cleary is like just so footy smart and
tactically,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's unreal. Do you have any advice to young halves or just young footy players coming through? I know we touched on it a bit, but
Yeah, I think knowing who you are, um, believing in you know working on what you're good at and loving the game. You can't watch enough footy. You can't. People say, "Oh, I'm a centre. I just watch centres." Well, who are you getting the ball off? You're getting the ball off the half. Who's a half getting the ball off the nine? Like as a halfback, you got to know everyone's position because people don't play 80 minutes. They got to be in position when you got to run plays. You got to run the right lines. You got to know where to kick. You got to know what the score is, what the time is. So don't just isolate yourself and watch your favourite player. Go and watch different teams, different systems, and practice. Get out there and practice.
yeah, when you were playing, obviously you're talking about how you love footy. Did you watch every game and still learn off every player?
I watched it differently back then to how I'd watch it now. Like I knew nothing. I thought
Oh, really?
I just now I can pick up styles, systems pretty quickly, having been in that environment. But when I was coming through, it was just watching it for the love of the game.
Yeah, fair enough. I just want to ask you one more question before we wrap it up. Who do you think's taking it out this year?
You'll have to tune into my podcast, mate. I'm paid the big bucks.
Yeah, fair
Look,
enough.
I think they all boast a chance to win it. They
Yeah,
all have strengths and weaknesses. Um, I don't know if this will be my final pick, but I've always believed you're the champs until you're not the champs anymore. So hopefully that leads you down a garden path, mate.
yeah. Well, I'll definitely be tuning into the pod and get all the listeners to tune in as well. Thanks for coming on, Sal. It's been unreal. Been waiting for this chat for a while, mate. You're a legend. I looked up to you growing up, so this is so sick to have you on.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate your time, and we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just
Thanks, mate.
thank you. Have a good.